Hey guys, Jay here, welcome to Eons of Battle, and I love Kill Team. I love Kill Team a lot. I have been enjoying the spit out of Kill Team 21, and it's quickly become my favorite Games Workshop game. It lets me get into the world of Warhammer 40,000, but like little tastings. I can be working on a blooded Kill Team for getting my Chaos Space Marine vibes, and then the next week I'm be working on the Tau. And who doesn't want to work on the Tau? We've gotten 32 Kill Teams? 35 kill teams in a very short amount of time, and you'd think that that would be plenty, but Games Workshop is still cranking them out, and so I have some ideas of some kill teams that they could make. If anybody from the Games Workshop design team is listening in, this is the video to watch. I think the number one thing that Games Workshop should do for kill team is no more guard teams. There are currently 6.5 guard kill teams out of all 35 kill teams, and that is a lot. There's so many different flavors: Compendium Guard, Compendium Tempestus Scions, Blooded, Veteran Guardsmen, Kazarkin, Imperial Navy Breachers, and arguably the Euclidean Star Striders. They're a little bit different, but not really that different. And so I think that is plenty. That is plenty of normal human beings with a couple of special weapons. That's plenty. If somebody wants to play normal old folks in Kill Team, they have their pick of the litter. No more. Only Xenos or interesting things from here on out. And the first thing I think would be very interesting is taking a look at Tyranids. Tyranids are still operating out of the Compendium book, which is sad. The Tyranid are really cool. And although their Compendium team is very good and very cool and it gives you some unique options, I think that they can do a lot more. The biggest thing I would love to see is bringing back the Lictors. In Kill Team 2018, you could bring 4 Lictors as your kill team. I used to do that all the time and it was super fun. Very, very swingy. Lictors are massive models on 40mm bases, and sometimes they would absolutely dominate. And sometimes they would fail all their 5-up saves and just immediately get wiped off the board, but Lictors are the perfect thing for Kill Team. They are like the sneaky assassins, and the whole idea of Kill Team is these little elite groups of soldiers doing missions that nobody else could. Their battle is taking place away from the actual battlefields of the big Warhammer 40,000. They're just little strike teams going on missions to steal objectives or gain access and control of certain areas of the board, and so I think Lictors would be super cool. I don't know if they need to go in a doubles box or maybe a White Dwarf rules. I think probably White Dwarf rules, because then you could also add in a lot more of the other things that you can bring for the Tyranids, like the Gene Stealers, the Tyranid Warriors, or the regular Gaunts, both in Ormagaunt and Termagaunt flavors. But just the Lictors, they're so cool, and they desperately need a new box. They're still in horrible Games Workshop Finecast, and they're just really old. It's time. Games Workshop, a plastic box with probably 3 Lictors, or for Kill Team, maybe 4 Lictors or 3 Lictors and a Death Leaper. Or maybe at least it comes with the bits for Death Leaper, and then the Kill Team extra sprue can contain an extra body to build Death Leaper. You could never take Death Leaper in Kill Team, but it was a good idea to actually have that model because it looks pretty much exactly like a Lictor, but it's different enough that you can tell, like, okay, that's the Sergeant model. He is the Sergeant Lictor, and then the other ones are just normal. And so I think I want the 4-man Lictor team. The Custodes get to be a 4-man team if you bring only 4 Custodes, and so I think Lictors would be an amazing kill team for the Tyranids. Although I do really like the look of 6 Tyranid Warriors, just all big bugs. That also looks very fun. Tyranids are still operating out of the Compendium, so they definitely need something. But one thing that is completely missing from Kill Team is the Leagues of Votann. They are brand new, but I'm really surprised that we haven't actually gotten a Leagues of Votann kill team yet. I thought that there would probably be some White Dwarf rules as soon as the Votann became available to purchase on the Games Workshop web store, but there's been silence regarding the Leagues of Votann coming to Kill Team, and obviously they will. And so what I think they should do is not the obvious choice. The standard thing for the Leagues of Votann is the Hearthguard Warriors. 10 Hearthkin Warriors are standard and would make for a perfectly fine kill team. They'd probably be along the lines of the Sisters of Battle. 10 guys with pretty good ballistic skill, okay saves, probably 4s instead of 3s like the Sisters of Battle have, and obviously bolters, because the dwarves can carry bolters. They can also carry ion blasters like the Tau, so there's plenty you could do with the 10 Hearthkin Warriors in Kill Team, but I still think it'd be a little bit lame, just 10 normal squats. Totally doable, and I could see them coming in a doubles box with something else or something probably new, but I think that there's a more interesting choice. And that would be the Brookire Iron Master. It's a really cool little elite choice or HQ for the Leagues of Votann. It's 2 regular Hearthkin, just 2 normal squats, and then a little trio of robots. And I think that would actually make for a really unique kill team that you could get some really unique rules in. We've seen little robots in kill team before. The Imperial Navy Breachers have their little cat robot and the Servo Skull, and they have some really interesting rules. They can't like pick up objectives or do some of the things for kill team, but they have other little abilities, buffs that they can apply to their own guys, or debuffs, or just self-destruct. And so I think Hearthkin robots would be a really, really neat. You get 3 in the box, so 5 man. 5 man is pretty light for a kill team. They'd really have to have some pretty exceptional rules to hold their own. But Games Workshop, typically in a doubles box, when they bring back something that's already in the current catalog from Games Workshop, they'll include another little sprue. We saw this with the new Necron kill team, where they came with a little extra sprue with a couple extra plasma sights on it, and I think that little sprue for kill team could be really cool if it had extra squat robots. Maybe this is some of the ones that we've seen in some of the Leagues of Votann artwork in the Codex, but we haven't actually gotten models for it. And I think it would be perfect because it wouldn't step on the toes of anything in big 40k. Like, it wouldn't be like, okay, well now 40k players have to buy this kill team box if they want 2 of the cool little robots. Like, these robots would be specific to kill team. And it would just make the squats a more interesting team. I know squats are a little bit like love it or hate it faction-wise in big 40k, at least that's what I've been getting online, although presumably they're still really, really well liked because their army box sold out and people have been buying up a lot of the squats. But I think instead of just 10 regular Hearthguard warriors or Hearthkin warriors, the robots would make them such an interesting kill team that people who aren't necessarily into the squats would actually be interested in picking them up, because it would just be a new flavor of kill team. Just a little band of robots, the brave little toaster followed by some dwarves. I think that would be really, really fun. Another faction that could really use some love in kill team is the Adeptus Custodes. They're still operating out of the compendium, and you know what? They are rocking those compendium rules. They're still a very strong team, but every single faction of Warhammer 40k is getting some special attention in kill team, either in White Dwarf rules or in doubles boxes, and I think the Custodes definitely could use just a little extra love. I can't really imagine any brand new models they could get. Potentially, if Games Workshop ever wanted to continue to dismantle Forge World and sell some of the Forge World only Adeptus Custodes parts, it would be really cool to see them brought into kill team. I know that you can bring like the Custodes bolt guns, the little tiny resin kit from Forge World that cost like $80 because Forge World is the absolute worst. If Games Workshop was to bring that from Forge World into the normal Games Workshop catalog and sell it on their website, I think it would be a very smart way to do it, to sell it in kill team first. And then you could really have some really customizable Custodes. I think it would be a great choice for a doubles box because once again, you get that extra sprue, and perhaps that extra sprue can be some of the really cool upgrades you can get in the Custodes. Maybe even some of the Custodes flyers. They kind of have like a weird stingray looking jetpack, and having a Custode with fly would actually help them out a lot, because one of the things the Custodes really struggle with is moving around the board and capturing objectives. They hit like a brick and they can take an amazing amount of damage, especially if they use the Custodian Warden Shield, which gives them a 4-up invulnerable save. But if one of your Custodes models could actually have the fly keyword and ignore vertical movement, that would really give the Custodes a lot more board presence and get them to be able to go all the places that they need to, while still being a very limited kill team. Probably still keep it to 4 models only, because Custodes are very, very strong and powerful. If they were to get White Dwarf rules with no new models, I don't know if there's a lot you could do. There's not that many extra bits in the Custodes box to kit your guys out really, really uniquely. Maybe they could have a little tweaking of their strategies or do something interesting with the Sisters of Silence. What I kind of want to do with the Sisters of Silence is just bring 10 Sisters of Silence and do an oops, all Sisters kill team. Like, oh, what are you playing? I'm playing Custodes. What are you bringing? No Custodes at all. I just think it's kind of fun. It kind of is a little bit superfluous because 10 Sisters of Silence with bolt guns is pretty much exactly the same as 10 Space Marine Scouts. And so, but I don't have a Space Marine Scout kill team. So maybe instead of doing that, I do the Sisters of Silence. The Sisters of Silence also come with flamethrowers, which are very, very good, and probably actually very good with the Into the Dark rules, where you're playing in like the close confined maze-like terrain. But definitely not that worth it in open kill team, because being limited to only being able to shoot at 6 inches is really, really limiting. Maybe if you have half and half, 5 bolters, 5 flamethrowers, you can make it work, but just being able to shoot at anything you can see is such a huge advantage. And bolt guns are pretty darn good. The Custodes are a faction that I really like, but I haven't picked them up yet. I am still waiting. They're one of those kill teams that's still compendium, and so they will definitely get a refresh of some sort, and I am really excited to see what that is. All of my ideas so far have been kind of like sure things, teams that haven't gotten a lot of attention yet and will be getting updated in the near future. But this next idea is just kind of a wild idea I've had, but I really like it. I think it could really make for a unique team and kill team, and that is Grot snipers. The orcs were the very first thing to get their own unique kill team in the Orc Commandos, and the Orc Commandos are awesome. They're a really cool kill team. Nick plays them all the time and beats me all the time. The Orc Commandos seem to have a little answer for everything in their rules, and they probably have the best stratagem in the whole game. I think it's called Just a Scratch, where the orcs can ignore one of your damage dice, and it hurts so bad when you've worked hard and you've made sure that all of your attacks go through, and you're like, okay, that orc is dying right now. I got a critical and 2 hits. And then that orc player can be like, no, you didn't. Get rid of that critical. And I'm like, well, I guess your orc doesn't die now and I'm screwed for the next turn. It's the best rule, and it's very orky and it's very flavorful, but man, it's a strong, strong stratagem. But Grot snipers would be a totally different flavor of orcs. You can actually bring, one kind of ninja Grot with your Orc Commandos who actually can zipline anywhere on the battlefield and is really good at grabbing objectives, although has tissue paper armor. If anything looks at him, it will die. And if you bring the greenskins out of the compendium, you can actually bring up to 4 Grots. I don't know if that's a smart idea. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's definitely not a smart idea to bring 4 Grots. Although they are very good at holding home field objectives, and they can do pickup actions, so maybe you have while you actually have the rest of your orcs out on the battlefield doing work, you have your Grots just walk out, grab the objectives, and just take them back and hide behind stuff. It's very thematic and it's very flavorful, but a team of 14 Grot snipers with like weapons that are totally garbage unless they crit would be such an interesting and unique glass cannon of a kill team. There's a lot of things in kill team out there that are kind of weak sauce. The Gellerpox, or not the Gellerpox infected. Yeah, the Gellerpox infected. They come with a lot of minions that are very weak, but they're bolstered by some really, really strong units. I think Grot snipers would be interesting if they had nothing. Maybe a single orc Runtherd who had some semi-decent stats, but it'd be really interesting to have Gretchen with a lot of movement shenanigans so that you can really kind of set them up. It would be a lot of ways how Genestealer Cult play in big 40k. Kill teams, since you're often dealing with a similar number of units and similar sized units, everything kind of evens out to be reasonably tough. Like a body and kill team is a really good thing to have, but if the Gretchen were just complete glass, but you through strategy and through tactical play, you could really kind of make them work, I would think would be a really cool kill team. And if Games Workshop wanted to bring something like that to big 40k, just a team of Grot snipers, I think it could be really, really useful. Orcs famously have terrible shooting, but when it comes to the Gretchen are actually better shots than orcs. And so it makes perfect sense for the Gretchen to actually be hiding in the bushes and hiding in rubble and taking little pot shots at anything that comes nearby with their teeny tiny widow Grot snipers. I just want to see it so bad. And I just want to see more unique Grot sculpts. The current Grot box that you can buy is old. And a lot of those designs are just literally ripped from the old metal Gretchen. Like when they were designing those, it was the early days of plastics from Games Workshop, when like they would sculpt something 3 times as big and then like use like a little manipulator pen to like get that real 3D hand sculpted design into like a digital format and then have the CNC mill it out smaller. And so they're just kind of bad. It'd be really cool to get some nice, crispy, clean Grots from Games Workshop. And I just think it would be a really, really cool idea. I love kill teams that just completely change up your playstyle. Like those are the really interesting things to me. That's why I ragged on all of the Imperial Guard teams at the beginning of this video, because they're all kind of unique. Like Tempestus Scions are very different than Veteran Guardsmen, but they're they're not that different. Like if I'm playing Blooded, which is like the Renegade Guard versus just Veteran Guardsmen, I mean, they even have rules overlaps with their stratagems and special abilities and orders, so it doesn't feel that different. But jumping from something like that where, you have medium bodies where you want to get them in cover and then give an order to give a better cover save, and then switching all the way to you're playing with 14 Grot bodies where every turn you're like, all right, I have played with my guys and I lost 4 of them, and I can lose like 4 or 5 a turn, but if I just play everything correctly, I'll be able to obtain the most points because Gretchen are very intelligent little goblin creatures, and they're completely just nobody has any respect for them because they probably shouldn't, but being the underdogs means that anything that they manage to pull off is immediately funny and awesome. I would love to see just a little bit more love for the Grots. And they don't even necessarily have to be a orc faction team. Like, what's the name of the Red Gobbo? The Red Gobbo? Like, didn't he lead the Grot Rebellion? So maybe they could literally become their own thing, kind of like how the Kroot are their own thing from the Tau. Even though they're in the Tau Codex and they're part of the Tau lore, the Kroot really are their own thing. And so maybe Gretchen could become their own thing. A Gretchen team would be really, really out there, probably not going to happen. But another thing that is almost certain to happen is something for the Dark Eldar. The Dark Eldar are still operating out of the Compendium. Technically, they've sort of been gotten something with the Eldar Corsairs. The Eldar Corsairs are the piratical element of the Eldar, and they take from the Harlequins, the Eldar, and the Dark Eldar. And so you could argue like, well, the Dark Eldar, there's like 2 guys in that kill team that look kind of Dark Eldar-y, but the Dark Eldar are so cool and so unique and so much better than the regular Eldar in Warhammer 40k that they just need some attention. Regular Eldar are all about tragedy, which is a big part of Warhammer 40k, but they're so boring. They're normal elves. They're the Lumineth Realm Lords of Warhammer 40k. I mean, obviously the Lumineth Realm Lords are the Eldar of Age of Sigmar, but they're just normal, pointy-eared, stuck-up elves, where the Dark Eldar are the epitome of grim dark, the grimmest of darkest. Probably the grimmest, darkest lore in all of Warhammer 40,000 is the Dark Eldar. I mean, the way that they have to like steal, kidnap, and torture people in order just to create chaos energies that they can fuel into themselves to keep themselves immortal, essentially. If they scrape just 1 drop of Dark Eldar blood off the battlefield, if they throw that into a Bacta tank, it's going to grow back into that Dark Eldar and they can continue to fight. The Lilith Hexprex is just a gladiator who just mulches anything that she gets into combat with. The Dark Eldar are just such a great 40k-ish thing. I want to see them get a lot of attention in Big 40k, but I also want to see them get attention in Kill Team. Also, another reason why they need attention is they recently got a ton of their model range removed from the Games Workshop web store. The Games Workshop, I think, moved it into their rotating stock thingy that they're doing, although, they do it for Lord of the Rings, and they bring things back on a semi-regular basis every few years, but with Big 40k, we've gotten radio silence on how this rotating stock actually works. I don't know if we've actually seen anything rotate back in, and we've seen a lot of things that have rotated out get new plastic kits that presumably replace the old sculpt. A lot of the Dark Eldar old stuff was beautiful, beautiful Juan Diaz sculpts, but they're also teeny tiny little things, and they were made of Games Workshop fine cast resin, so I would really like to see new plastics come to them. I think there's 2 great ways that Games Workshop could play with the Dark Eldar. They recently lost their Beastmaster and all of their little creepy friends, all of their little pets that they can bring along. And that's a unit that you can bring in Big 40k, but you can't buy models for it. So a Beastmaster on hoverbike, maybe another Beastmaster on foot, some Urgles, Razorwing Flock, Chimeras, Clawed Fiends. That would make another great kill team, kind of similarly to my Grot Sniper idea. Very different from the normal just 10 soldiers that you can bring in a kill team. Just 1 or 2 Beastmasters with just a big herd of evil, monstrous minions would be lovely. I would love to see that. I really like the Dark Eldar. The Forge World Tantalus is one of my favorite miniatures that Games Workshop has ever made. I'm going to start a Dark Eldar army. I have a couple of things, a nuance brew in box, and I really want to see some updated plastics for some of the really cool kind of other stuff that the Dark Eldar can bring. And having it come to Kill Team would be awesome because I want to play with Dark Eldar and Kill Team. And if Games Workshop doesn't want to give us the Beastmasters, which I think they should, they can definitely do it because also the Mandrakes, Sliths, Grotesques, and Lamians also all left to Games Workshop. And that I think would make for a really good kill team along the lines of the Euclidean Star Striders, where you have like a bunch of heroes who all have slightly different stats and abilities. I think that would be a perfect. It's kind of along with the Necron Hero Tech Circle, where you got your Cryptex and your Cryptech friends and a couple of bodyguards and your little minions. I mean, 2 Sliths. And Mandrakes disappeared too. So maybe you got your 5 Mandrakes, a pair of Sliths, and maybe a Lamian, kind of the wizardy sorcerer of the Dark Eldar. It can make for a really cool, good-looking, grim, dark Eldar kill team. I don't know which one I would prefer, Beastmasters or like a Dark Eldar Council, like the Council of Darkness, the Council of Evil. Games Workshop does have to bring back these models, and probably sooner rather than later, because if you want to play Dark Eldar right now and you didn't previously purchase all of those models, you're kind of out of luck. They're not available from Forge World, they're not available from Games Workshop, but they're available in the Codex. So Games Workshop has to fix this because they really should have a model available if it's a playable unit in the game. And the way Games Workshop likes to do things is they like to put things in the biggest box possible because they want to get the most money out of us. So I think it would make a lot of sense, if they have to do it that way, I think it would make a lot of sense to shove some Dark Eldar goodness into one of the doubles boxes, into the Shadow Vaults, the new season of Kill Team. And I would definitely buy it. I mean, I would probably definitely buy it no matter what, because I really, really am enjoying Kill Team, but I would love some Dark Eldar goodness. But as much as I love Kill Team, you know what else I love? That's right, our Patreon. If you like Kill Team, you're gonna love our Patreon, because every month we come out with a new terrain pack, and this month we have Wasteland Cars. Perfect for creating a desolate Mad Max-inspired battlefield, all hosted by Comics, Games, and Things. We also make one extra episode of EOB every single week where we take a look at our patrons' models and give them some helpful critiques and ideas of how they can improve their painting, and we host live Discord hangouts. And we have a new tier where you can get your name on one of my Black Templars. You can join the ranks of Jeff the Chaplain or Eccentric Lion the Tactical Marine. And we also have merch, link in the description. I am bursting with ideas for Kill Team and what Games Workshop should do, but really, I think that they have been crushing it. Although there's also been really, really cool stuff for Underworlds and Warcry, the other kind of skirmish level Games Workshop games. I think Kill Team has been in a really unique spot where you can use some of the normal kits from big Warhammer 40k, and they come out with new, interesting stuff. And I really hope they come out with a lot more stuff. I've been enjoying the spit out of Kill Team. I've loved everything Games Workshop has made for it so far, and please let me know in the comments below what are some ideas you have for Kill Teams that Games Workshop should make. Thanks for watching.